Welcome to Spurs Focus, your go-to spot for daily Tottenham news, transfers, and match updates. Don't forget to support the channel by hitting that subscribe button now. Let's dive into today's top story. There were two particularly keen pairs of eyes up in the director's box at the London Stadium that would have been happy with what they had seen of Tottenham Hotspur. For once, neither pair of peepers belonged to Daniel Levy. For the first game since the 63-year-old left his role as executive chairman, the power behind the throne made its presence felt at the first derby of the season for Spurs. Vivienne Lewis and her son-in-law, Nick Butcher, have both been key figures in the recent changes at the top of the North London club, as the generations of the Lewis family have flexed their collective muscle. Vivienne's brother Charles, both of them the children of former Spurs owner Joe Lewis, is also expected to become a more regular presence at matches in the future to complete the new trinity of power. Butcher is co-CEO of Tavistock Group with Levy's son Josh. Tavistock own ENIC, who in turn have a controlling interest in Tottenham. Vivienne and Charles Lewis are senior managing directors of Tavistock. The two family members at Stratford sat between Tottenham's CEO Vinay Venkatesham and technical director Johan Lang. While the Lewis family pushed for change inside Spurs, after instigating a major independent review, Sir Venkatesham is shaping that new look. A new chief marketing officer, Adam Gardner, has been plucked from Arsenal to start early in 2026, and there remains the expected return of former managing director of football, Fabio Paratici, in a more official capacity. Venkatesham surrounded himself with football knowledge during his time at the Gunners, and it will be the same at Tottenham, with Paratici and Lang said to work well together with complementary skill sets. It's uncharted territory within Spurs, as the staff around the club get used to a new era. The micromanaging nature of the long-serving Levy and his board has given way to a different kind of management, with staff empowered to make decisions, and that will take some getting used to. Whether the club ends up being better for it, after 24 years with a single guiding voice, will become clear in the months ahead and beyond. The Bournemouth Borefest aside, Thomas Frank's team have otherwise showcased the firm foundations he has constructed this summer, with 3 clean sheets in their first 4 matches, and just that single Cherries goal conceded since the season began. On top of that, the added focus on set pieces, both defensively and offensively, from coach Andreas Georgsson has been the low-hanging fruit Ben Davies spoke about in pre-season as being the simple things Tottenham could do to improve. While the derby at West Ham was played at a snail's pace at times, forced by a home side that for once did not look particularly bothered about any London rivalry, it was the set pieces that had the Hammers clinging on for dear life at every corner and free kick. In the first half, the officials caused more problems for Tottenham than their hosts did. A Christian Romero header from Mohamed Kudus's corner was ruled out. That was after Mickey van der Ven was adjudged to have pushed Kyle Walker-Peters in the build-up. Yet none of the officials or those in the VAR room seemingly noticed that the West Ham goalkeeper, Mads Hermansen, had pushed the Dutchman into the former Spurs full-back. The injured James Maddison tweeted, "Honestly, the referees and VAR have had an absolute shocker of a start to the season. If that goal is disallowed for a foul, you will never ever see a corner be taken without a referee blowing for something ever again." Then Van der Ven was wrestled to the floor at a corner not long after, with only the briefest of checks deciding there was nothing to see. "I think the disallowed goal is for me clearly a goal," Frank told Football.London. "When I look back, it's Mads Hermansen who pushed Mickey into Kyle Walker-Peters, and we talk about higher thresholds. For me, it's a clear goal. If you see the United goal against Fulham a few weeks ago, where there were 2 hands in the back, it was given. I've heard afterwards it was a mistake, but no matter what, for higher thresholds, this is clearly a goal that needs to stand." I think the Mickey van der Ven situation, I think it's the player that marks Mickey doesn't look at the ball, and he got 2 hands around him. So it's one of those where it could definitely have been given. I'm probably slightly biased, I would say 60 to 40 it should have been given, but I know those situations are not easy. The first half bore plenty of the hallmarks of the Door derby at the end of last season, as that day, an understrength Spurs side shared the spoils with a poor Hammers one. This time 10 seconds, half minutes would decide the destination of the 3 points, and they were not remaining in Stratford. The first moment came 2 minutes after the restart when Spurs debutant Xavi Simon's deep corner found Pape Matar Sarr completely unmarked at the back post to head home. It was a bewildering absence of defending, but that does not detract from the movement. A dramatic London derby between West Ham and Tottenham took a controversial turn on Saturday evening, as Tomáš Souček was shown a straight red card, and now FIFA has stepped in, handing the Czech midfielder a suspension for serious foul play. The West Ham star was dismissed shortly after half-time for a high dangerous tackle on João Palhinha, sparking outrage from fans and players alike. As tempers flared, Tottenham capitalised with 3 goals, including a landmark strike from 19-year-old Lucas Bergvall. But it was Souček's reckless challenge confirmed by VAR that stole the headlines and prompted swift disciplinary action from football's governing body. It has been revealed why Tomáš Souček was sent off during West Ham's clash against Tottenham Hotspur at the London Stadium on Saturday evening. The 30-year-old midfielder was given his marching orders shortly after the break, following a challenge on João Palhinha. Jared Gillett brandished the red card, and Souček left the field. The video assistant referee, John Brooks, and his assistant Natalie Aspinall quickly reviewed the incident at Stockley Park, confirming the on-field decision. An official statement from the Premier League Match Centre, on X, formerly known as Twitter, reads, "The referee's call of red card to Souček for serious foul play was checked and confirmed by VAR, with the contact deemed to be high on the shin, which endangered the safety of the opponent." A few moments later, Tottenham doubled their lead through Lucas Bergvall, who latched onto a delightfully lofted pass from Christian Romero. The 19-year-old midfielder, who marked his 50th appearance with a goal, leapt above his marker and headed the ball over Mads Hermansen. Before Pape Matar Sarr broke the deadlock on the brink of half-time, Spurs had a goal ruled out. Mickey van der Ven, who later went on to score the Lilywhites' third of the evening, was adjudged to have fouled Kyle Walker-Peters during a corner. Romero leapt above his marker and headed the ball into the top right corner. Unfortunately for the Tottenham captain, his goal was chalked off. On X, the Premier League Match Centre said, "The referee's call of no goal was checked and confirmed by VAR, with it deemed that Van der Ven pushed Walker-Peters in the back and impacted his ability to play the ball." Speaking to reporters on Friday ahead of the London derby, Thomas Frank described West Ham as extremely difficult opposition. The Spurs boss said, "Very excited. I know it means a lot for the fans. We will go there and do everything we can to, of course, try to win the game. I think we're facing a West Ham team, which I think maybe didn't have the best start. I think they got a very good win against Nottingham, and I think they did well. I think they've got some top players. I've known Graham Potter for years, and I've followed his fantastic work all the way from Sweden to Swansea to Brighton to Chelsea to now here, so it's a big respect for him and his staff. I know it will be difficult, and I know this game tomorrow will be extremely difficult because no matter if West Ham were top of the league, or bottom of the league, or middle of the league, this game will just make them raise their level. So I expect an extremely difficult game, but we'll be ready for it, and we're ready to attack." Frank will quickly turn his attention to Tuesday night, when Tottenham take on Villarreal in the Champions League. The Lilywhites will host the La Liga outfit in North London, as they look to start the campaign on the right foot. Thomas Frank says he's felt the backing from the powerful Lewis family that owns Tottenham after the shock exit of Daniel Levy. Staff inside Spurs were left stunned by Levy's departure after 24 years as chairman, following a shake-up instigated by the Lewis family, who run ENIC, the company that in turn owns the North London club. The new powers that be behind Tottenham are siblings Vivian and Charles Lewis, the children of former Spurs owner Joe Lewis, alongside Nick Butcher, who is married to Joanna, Vivian's daughter. Frank was among those left shocked by the departure of Levy, but has already felt the backing from the owners, who are expected to invest in the team to help them compete with their big spending rivals. I've spoken to a few from the Lewis family and Peter Charrington, the new non-executive chairman. I also spoke to him before. Of course he was on the board, so there's been good, constructive conversations and I feel the backing. "And they're happy," said the Dane. "I think it's fair to say things have gone quite quickly, so I'm also quite convinced that in the next couple of months, I will be more aware of the future plans. Hopefully we will make them together. I think that's the best way to do it. Everything I sense, I feel, and I've been told is positivity and backing. He added, "It's very important to be transparent and to be clear. What are we dealing with? What is the ambition? Can we adjust expectations? Are we on the same page? What is the strategy? Are we aligned? That's absolutely crucial." I've spoken to a few from the Lewis family and Peter Charrington, the new non-executive chairman. I also spoke to him before, of course he was on the board. So there's been good, constructive conversations and I feel the backing, and they're happy, said the Dane. I think it's fair to say things have gone quite quickly, so I'm also quite convinced that in the next couple of months, I will be more aware of the future plans. Hopefully, we will make them together. I think that's the best way to do it. Everything I sense, I feel, and I've been told is positivity and backing. He added, "It's very important to be transparent and to be clear. What are we dealing with? What is the ambition? Can we adjust expectations? Are we on the same page? What is the strategy? Are we aligned? That's absolutely crucial." It happened Thursday, I was back on the training ground on Monday, and then we had 4 training sessions. It was not that Daniel was out there on the training pitch or in the meeting rooms. It is basically business as usual for me because the transfer window closed when there was a lot of interaction, said the Dane. I don't think it has changed too much for me personally so far, so maybe it is too early to ask about that. But of course there are people who have worked with Daniel for so much longer, which it is most likely more different for them. Spurs begin the post-Levy era with a London derby at West Ham on Saturday evening. Frank will be without striker Dominic Solanke, who remains out with an ankle injury, but he will have new signings Xavi Simons and Randall Kolo Muani in line to make their debuts after arriving late in the transfer window. The match will also bring Mohamed Kudus back to the London Stadium after his £55 million move across the capital to the Hammers rivals, with a hostile reception expected for the Ghana international. West Ham have also said they will ban half-and-half scarves from the match, and Frank agrees with that sentiment. I guess it's a little bit odd between two clubs that maybe don't like each other that much, he said. They're probably not selling that many, so the one who came up with that idea probably isn't the world's most wealthy guy. Frank has 2 midfielders who are in the final 10 months of their contracts at Spurs in Rodrigo Bentancur and Yves Bissouma. The former appears to be a key man under the head coach, while the latter could not find a move away during the transfer window as he recovers from a knee injury. When asked whether he wanted the club to agree a new deal with Bentancur, Frank said, "I think first and foremost, I'm very happy with Rodri. He's been a very good player for us, a top professional in every aspect. I'm happy with him, he's happy with being here. I know that for a fact. Let's see what's going to happen in the future." Bissouma is still being linked with a move away from the club, with some transfer windows open beyond the English one, including the Turkish window, which closes tonight, Friday. And the Saudi Pro League one remains open until September 23rd. However, the Spurs boss does not think there will be any further exits, which means the Mali international will remain part of Tottenham's domestic squad, even if he's not been included in the Champions League one. "I will be surprised if anyone is leaving us now. So yes, he's part of the squad," said Frank.